Good morning, everybody. I'm just giving people a few seconds just to join and get started. Just bear with us another few seconds. Perfect. I think we can get started. So thank you very much for joining us today. This session is going to be around accelerating your ESG journey and mastering your sustainability reporting. And this session is going to be from Ascent, where I'm from, and Microsoft as well, which is Andrew. So just introducing myself first, my name is Paul Hemwood. I'm Principal Solution Architect here at Ascent, specialising in data and sustainability. So work with a lot of customers around implementing these projects that we're doing around sustainability. But first, before we get started, I'm going to hand over to Andrew, who's going to talk a little bit around what we're hearing from customers and how Microsoft are really driving conversations with our customers around ESG.
Thanks, Paul. So good morning, everybody. Thanks for your time today. So my name's Andrew Ward. I work for Microsoft. I'm part of our global sustainability organization. And effectively, I'm a commercial subject matter expert around Microsoft Cloud Sustainability. And I work in the EMEA region, working with some of our larger enterprise and global customers and really trying to understand, the journey that they're taking, supporting them on that journey, and obviously overlaying our Cloud Sustainability platform to help accelerate that. So I've just got a couple of slides I want to go through. So we could just go to the first slide. So this was a statement that Satya made, and I really like this because it really highlights the importance of data when we think about all things ESG, which is environmental and social and governance reporting. So Satya made a statement basically saying, when we think about big data workloads, ERP and CRM are up there right at the top. They're two of the biggest workloads we have. But Satya's statement was, it will be as critical for an organization to have a sustainability practice in place as running ERP and CRM. And it's a really true statement. From a Microsoft point of view, we do see ESG data sets as being the next big data workload. And the importance of that, because of regulation, because of reporting, because of data complexities, is why it is so critical. So just moving on to the next slide. When we kind of think about what's happening, probably for everybody, UK across EU, CSRD is top of mind. Everybody's talking about it. It's there. We start to baseline next year. The regulation hits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this has been happening for a good few years, since 2013. 155% increase in ESG reporting and regulation. So it's not new to us. The notion of reporting and regulation is not new. But I think what's really brought it to light, certainly in the EU zone, is CSRD, the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. Appreciate it doesn't impact the UK as such, but there is absolutely a crosswind for CSRD for those companies where they will be touched by it or need to report that data back at some point as part of the process. But when you look at CSRD, that can require up to 1,100 data points to report back on. And they're not just simple data points. It's not like a number here or a value there. There's a quantitative metrics, which are kind of the numbers, etc. Emission data, emission output. But then you get really complex things like, what's your HR practice? What's your find out your well-being practice for your employees? How do you validate that? How do you prove that? So it does get really, really complicated. And if we could just move to the next slide, please, Paul. So, data is a challenge, regulation is a challenge, but equally, there's an opportunity in this as well. CSRD is one. There is no question as things progress environmentally and commercially that there will be new regulations and there'll be emerging regulations that impact not just the Eurozone, but the UK as well. But in amongst all of this complexity, there is that opportunity to improve efficiencies and reduce costs. One of the biggest challenges, with data, with ESG reporting on environmental and social data, is that acquisition of that data. So how to get that data? How do I ingest that data? How do I then augment that data? How do I consolidate it into a single state? And then once I've done all of that, how do I physically transform that so it's something meaningful and something that would comply to a CSRD disclosure when that is actually made. That process today is done very manually. We talk to a lot of companies, some of the biggest global organizations on the planet, and they're using spreadsheets to do that. And that is the fundamental of the challenge. A lot of businesses are running like that. So any kind of data process automation is absolutely critical. And of course, as soon as you start to automate things, you start to see benefits, you start to see efficiencies, and you reduce costs in your operational plan. So there are some absolute upsides to all of this. But kind of looking at it as well from a stakeholder perspective, it's expected of us, when we think about commercially responsible organizations and how we practice them within the context of the environment, it's really important that we're transparent and we can report accurately in terms of where we are around net zero transformation, for example, or where we are more generally around our sustainability strategy that we publish corporately as part of our kind of annual report, etc. So there's a lot of stakeholders who expect this, but stakeholders are not just people externally, they're also from within as well. If we look at a lot of our people within the organization, they want to work for a company that is sustainably responsible and can actually prove that they're a sustainably responsible organization. So again, to do that, you need the data to back that up, and you need the data to prove that. And then the last point is really around risk, that there is a risk, right? If you think about CSRD, it's here, it's not optional for many companies, over 50,000 companies across the EU zone. There will be penalties as a result of, non-disclosure, non-submission. But when we look at France, in France, with some of the regulations, they're talking about custodial sentences for non-compliance. If you look in Spain, there are regulations in Spain that track the import of plastics from packaged goods, manufactured goods, whatever. And if companies are not being transparent in the reporting in that, they can be fined €1,000 a day. So there's a huge risk to business as well as a result of non-compliance. Then just final slide, please, Paul. So, this conversation over the next 20 minutes is very much all about data. Cloud for Sustainability, our platform, is a data-led solution. It helps you augment that data. It helps you transform that data. And it helps you maintain that data in one place. And of course, once you have data in one place, you can drive insights from that. Drive insights in terms of the data, in terms of the quality of the data, but also looking at anomaly detection where things may not be quite right. So although there are a lot of challenges, right, around regulation, we all know that it is problematic, but there's a lot of opportunities as well. A lot of opportunities when we think about the environmental reporting, a lot of opportunities when we think about, how do we really drive the business more efficiently around our data acquisition and really understand that data and take insightful actions on that going forward. So that's just what I wanted to touch on. I hope that's okay, Paul. I'm going to hand back to you and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Andrew. So as Andrew said, there's lots of challenges and opportunities. So how can we as Ascent help you on your journey around actually collating those ESG metrics and actually reporting on them and meeting your CSRD requirements? So Ascent as an organization are a design-led business. We specialize in software, cloud, data, and AI. And we actually have a number of Microsoft solution partner designations as well, really proving from an auditing perspective that we are a strong partner in working alongside Microsoft. As a business, we focus on a few different areas, as I mentioned, kind of software, data and AI, and cloud. But really for this conversation around sustainability and ESG reporting, the areas that are really important and key that we can offer you are around our design and technical consulting capabilities, which will help around understanding what your specific challenges and priorities are, around governance and compliance, which is very, very important when it comes to ESG, making sure that you understand the lineage and the methodologies that have been used when calculating your ESG metrics. We're really strong and can help you a lot around our data engineering capabilities and capacity, where we can help you from modeling through to data engineering, all the way through to those insights and visualizations and how you're actually exposing that data to the broader business as well. So this is really where the focus areas that we can help as an organization. So how does that kind of overlay with what a typical sustainability journey is? So for most organizations, this kind of slide will give an overview of a flow of what the sustainability journey would look like. Typically, you're starting in the top left-hand corner where you need to understand what your current state is. For some organizations, this will be they're already doing some reporting today and it'll be manual, but as Andrew mentioned, some organizations will be paying a third party to collect the data, and some maybe haven't started their journey. So really the first thing is to understand what the current state is as an organization, and really then understand what data do you have available as a business as well. So it may well be there's a desire to report on certain things, but it's really around what's the state of play from a tooling perspective, from a data perspective that you have as a business. So really the next thing is understanding what data is available and how does that map to any KPIs. So then you want to look at your KPI definitions. So do you need to fulfill those 1100 plus metrics in CSRD, or in the short term, are you looking to focus on a much smaller subset of that? Most organizations we talk to are looking to really start with something like carbon first, where we're thinking around scope 1 emissions, scope 2 emissions, maybe the first handful of scope 3 emissions. So really being able to understand what are all the KPIs you want to focus on as a business, and what are the priorities of those. So we have a number of design-led workshops where we can help you understand those opportunities and really understand what you actually want to report on and how this aligns to your data and what data you have available to you. Once you've got a good viewpoint of that, really, as Andrew said, this becomes a data challenge at this point. So this is where sustainability data solutions for Microsoft Fabric really come into play and really help actually for your organization implement a solution here. And this goes through generally a flow of, once you've understood that data, ingesting it into Fabric, standardizing that data, transforming it into a common data model, and then actually visualizing that data out. And so really what the sustainability data solutions is giving you is unifying all of your data on that kind of centralized platform. So you've got all your data in one place. It's enabling you to automate the ingestion of that data, automate the reporting parts as well. So once you've built those ESG reports, actually automating that exposure and people being able to get a view of that data on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, whatever kind of meets the requirements for your organization, and really enables you to really kind of fully automate that end to end. Complementary to kind of implementing sustainability data solutions is really kind of two other tools that you can pull in as well. The first is Sustainability Manager. Sustainability Manager is Sustainability Manager is really a tool that helps actually automate the calculation methodologies that you're using. So whilst on Fabric you can automate the ingestion and transformation of your data, you do need to manage your emissions factors, your estimation factors, and the calculation methodology that you're using, i.e. you're going to do your business travel based on mileage, or you're going to do your purchase goods based on spend. So you're needing to actually manage those calculations. Sustainability Manager gives you a nice unified platform where you can actually automate all of that in a very simple interface, enabling that really to be managed by the sustainability team and the sustainability consultants that you have inside your organization. And so really that's a great complementary tool to using the Fabric as well. And then next is the data governance as well. It's very, very important to make sure when it comes to sustainability reporting that you're actually able to track and understand both the methodology that you're using for your calculations, but track your data as well and have governance in place. So using tools like Microsoft Purview, you can actually catalog where all of your data is coming from. You can have lineage, so you can see how your data is flowing through the system. And then you can actually have the business definitions around your calculations defined as well. And this is very important if you're starting to look at any either regulatory reporting, or even if you're wanting to go for things like ISO standards like ISO 14064, for example, for carbon emissions or for emissions more generally. So this is really important to make sure you've got that governance in place. And then another thing to really appreciate when it comes to sustainability reporting, it's not a one and done. You can't really define all of your metrics and then just do it all in one big bang. It's definitely recommended to do this as a staged process, typically prioritizing those KPIs, starting with the first one or two, and actually running through this process of ingesting, standardizing, and visualizing that data, and then doing that continuous improvement and iteration, both as you have more data become available to you, as your data matures, or as you have better data quality available to you in your source systems. You can really iterate and improve on any reporting that you create. And then, as Andrew said, CSRD reporting is a huge part that's very important to organizations at the moment. And so really, once you think about visualizing that data and generating those CSRD reports, which you can actually generate via Sustainability Manager as well, you then need to think about how you're actually submitting that CSRD data as well. So you need to go through that audit submission process as well. And really, so Ascent, where we can help you is with that consulting of that first piece, the implementation of that end-to-end platform, and really getting your first workloads and getting you started quickly. So when it comes to how we work with organizations, really we focus as a business on driving and building our accelerators. Our accelerators give us patterns and practices and code snippets to actually really reduce that time to implementation for our customers and really get a return on investment for the projects that we're implementing. And there are lots of different investments that we've got, but the three that are super important when it comes to ESG are really the three that I've got highlighted on screen here. And this is the domain modeling. So I talked around actually being able to consolidate all of your data from the various source systems into a single location, but you need to consolidate that onto a single data model as well. As part of the solution from Microsoft Fabric, the Sustainability Data Solutions, there is an ESG data model that goes alongside that. And that really helps with consolidating the data into that centralized model. And so we can really help you actually optimize the mapping of your data and how it aligns to that data model. And this is really important when you then start to integrate tools like Sustainability Manager, or you start to think about any third-party tools, etc., that you might want to integrate as well. You're really consolidated onto this single ESG data model. Next is the data governance piece. I've already spoken a bit around this, but we have an accelerator here to really automate and reduce the time to implementation of getting your data in there, but creating all of the lineage that sits around this to make sure you've got that full end-to-end picture and auditability of your data. And last but not least is the actual sustainability reporting itself. So a set of reports that sit on top of that ESG data model to really help you actually generate reports for your organization, which can be customized for your particular business, or to actually integrate with CSRD reports or any reports for other bodies like GRI as well. And so really the point of the accelerator is reducing that time to value for your organization. Typically, if you're looking at kind of a 6-month project or so, a lot of organizations will spend the first 2.5 months actually building the technical foundation, kind of building the architecture, creating the landing zones, automating the ingestion, implementing the code, getting a managed service in place. What we've got with our accelerators is reducing that time to value and really focusing on that being done in the first couple of weeks. So really from there onwards, we can start getting into your data. And that's really where the value and the challenge comes in. So really spending time understanding your data, the nuances, the specifics around data quality, around how to actually source that data, or any optimizations that need to be done to that data. And really that's what our accelerators are bringing for you as a business. So I've spoken a bit generically there. What specifically can we do with helping you with implementing these? So Microsoft Fabric Sustainability Data Solutions is the first offering that we can help with implementation. This is typically around a 2 to 4 week project to initially implement. And the sort of flow that we go through is we'll validate your data, actually understand what are the key metrics that you're focusing on, what are those 1 or 2 KPIs that you're really wanting to focus on first. We'll actually deploy the platform using our accelerators, and then we'll run and optimize by ingesting your data, transforming, using the accelerators again, and actually then developing the data engineering and the transformations, the bits that are specific to your business. And the value that you get from implementing this, both from the tool perspective and our accelerator wrapper that sits around it, is reducing that total cost of ownership by consolidating onto the single platform. You've got that accelerated time to value, not just from the tool itself and the Fabric Sustainability Data Solutions, but also our accelerator will really reduce that time to implementation and help you unify onto that single platform. So you're not having to collate data from all over the business, which is largely the blocker that organizations have today. This will also reduce risk as well with centralizing that data into the single place. You'll have that single place where you can actually implement the governance as well. So you can get a viewpoint of where you are from a lineage, from a catalog, and from a methodology perspective. And really, as Andrew mentioned, and I've mentioned a few times here, this is largely a data problem. We're consolidating that data into a single place. Once you've consolidated that data, you can start thinking around AI and machine learning. You hear lots of people talk around Gen AI at the moment, but if you don't consolidate your data first and you don't have a good handle of where your data is and have that data available to use, you can't start that AI journey. So consolidating onto this central platform really unlocks that for kind of future workload for you to be able to focus on. And then either complementary to or instead, we have another offering which is around sustainability using Microsoft Sustainability Manager as well. Typically, Sustainability Manager projects are around 4 to 6 weeks. They go through a similar frame, so you'll validate your data, understand those 1 or 2 key metrics, deploy the platform, and then run and optimize. The additional benefit you're getting with Sustainability Manager is really actually consolidating the methodology for the transformation of your calculations and for the management of things like your emissions factors. This gives you the ability to, rather than have the transformations in the hands of the engineers, you can move that that management of those sustainability focused alterations into the hands of those sustainability engineers. And so really those sustainability focused individuals via a nice interface with Sustainability Manager can actually really with a drag and drop actually change that calculation methodology, which is just some fantastic functionality. So again, it's kind of similar benefits in terms of consolidating into a central location and reducing those risks and unlocking those AI workloads as well. So typically what that looks like, just if I take a 4-week example implementation of a project, what it would look like was we'd have a kickoff where we'd kind of make sure we're aligned on exactly what we're going to be delivering over that period, making sure we're confirming any prerequisites, which is typically access to platform, etc. And really we'll start with a series of workshops where we've actually go through and from a data perspective, collate what's the focus, from the KPIs and the metrics and what data you have available to you, how does that align to those KPI metrics, and also workshops related to your current investments in Azure and your current platform implementation that you have. The output from that second workshop, what's that set of workshops, is to really deploy that platform rapidly, starting to deploy that platform inside the first week. And then with the workshops where we're looking at your data, that gives us the ability to start focusing on consolidating your data and aligning your data to that ESG data model. Then in that second week, we're typically looking at either implementing Sustainability Manager, if that's the route you want to go, or ingesting that data, or if not, or otherwise, ingesting that data into Fabric, really starting to focus on that data transformation, analyzing your data and visualizing your data. That's typically kind of how we run through the rest of the project. In that 4th week, we also really focus on those next steps as well. So helping you understand how do you transition from a proof of concept to going to a production system. We like to call this production hardening, where we look at things like disaster recovery, high availability, have dev test production environments, automate the release and the promotion between those environments, etc. So really actually take you through what those steps are, what it involves, what the effort is, but also what's the next steps from a data perspective as well. So typically we're focusing on 1 or 2 key KPIs for this first workload. What would it look like for the next 3 to 6 months to integrate that next set of data and to continuously onboard and enhance and optimize those reports that you've got? Like I said, typically most organizations will start from a scope perspective with 1 or 2 categories. Business travel or purchase goods are great places to start. The reason is things like business travel is typically stored in things like expenses tools. Purchase goods are in things like ERPs or enterprise resource planning tools. So they're typically of high data quality and relatively easily accessible, which means you can get started with those relatively easily. So really that's just giving you a viewpoint of what an end-to-end implementation would look like from a time and an effort perspective. So really, we've heard a bit really quickly there, but you've heard a bit around how we can help you with our accelerators, how we have specific offerings around implementing sustainability data solutions on Microsoft Fabric and implementing Microsoft Sustainability Manager. And I've given you an overview of that end-to-end timeline. But really, what what do you do to get started? How do you actually work with us or actually move on to that next step? So on the right hand side, if you scan the QR code, you can actually register your interest in a very simple Microsoft form to actually talk to us around where you are on your ESG journey. And what we'd love to do is have a one-on-one conversation to see how we can really help you specifically as an organization on your journey. And typically this would look like one of these three items I've got on the left-hand side here. So this would be either a demo to go into more detail around the technologies that we've spoken about today. I've thrown around terms like sustainability data solutions for Fabric and Microsoft Sustainability Manager, but we can give you demonstrations of these tools, actually show you them in action, understanding how they would work for you as an organization and how your data would integrate into them. So we can really give you a demo, an overview of those. If you want to, we can go through an envisioning workshop where we can actually go into more detail around what you want to focus on from your KPIs and your metrics and what your business goals are, and how our implementations can align and really work for you as an organization. Or if you're a bit more mature and you've already started to do some reporting, or you're doing reporting manually today, we can help you go into that 4 or 6 week proof of concept straight away. And typically this would be a follow-on workshop where we'd understand where you are on your journey today, collate a bit more information and align that general plan that I showed on the previous slide to a specific implementation that would have for your organization. And this would be working alongside our experts that we've got inside Ascent, as well as working alongside the experts that we've got from Microsoft as well. So typically that would be how we can really help you going forward. So we'd absolutely love to hear from you. So if you want to us to reach out to you, please do scan that code. Please do register your interest. We'd absolutely love to talk to you, and we can share more around what we've done with other customers, what we've, how we can help you with these demos and visioning workshops or proof of concepts. But with that, we've got a little bit of time for Q&A. So if there are any questions, I'd love to respond to a few of those.
Maybe we could kick things off, Paul, and I've got a question for you guys, if I may, just to start things off. So, I mean, just first of all, thank you for this opportunity to speak alongside you, and thank you for what you do. Partners are critical to Microsoft in the way that you support our customer ecosystem. So it's great, to be here and help and support you. But this is a complex area. One of the challenges we see with a lot of customers is that they just don't have the internal skills around ESG, whether that be around the regulation piece or whether that be around the technical aspects of the data platforming. Where can Ascent sort of lean in and help and support that particular area, do you think?
Yes, so that's definitely something that we like to align as part of any other proof of concept or broader implementation, is that we want to make sure skilling is a key part of that as well. So it's not just a case of we're going to engage and implement this and then kind of run away at the end of it. We really want to make sure that we're upskilling your team as part of the project. So we want to make sure we're bringing you along on the journey. So really, when we're looking at understanding the data, we're doing that with you. When we're looking at implementing the platform, we run regular demonstrations, typically based on the 1 or 2 week sprints that we run. We'll actually do those demos and making sure that we're bringing you along on that journey and really understanding not just your data, but the implementation that's being done. So you can really, with confidence, make sure that you can support that the solution going forwards.
That's really good to hear. And then, just another comment, this POC, proof of concept and accelerator. I love this approach, because when we think about CSRD, you don't just go switch CSRD on, right? It's not something you do in 2 days. This is a journey for a lot of our customers, whether it be, right from the outset, where you're really trying to build that ESG data model and aspire towards a CSRD report. But, these accelerators and POCs are so critical, because they really prove the point. They talk about, how you bring that data in, how you can start importing that data, how you can calculate it. So you get a sense for, what this is all about, so that when you start moving towards CSRD, that framework's in place, right? You have that sort of basis to start building from. And I think this is why POCs accelerators is such a really, really good way to get started if customers are really just starting on this journey.
Absolutely. Definitely agree with that, Andrew. I can see one question in chat, just read it out for others' benefit. What are you hearing from customers about where they currently stand in their sustainability journey? So I think the organisations that we've spoken to, if I go first, I'll let Andrew add to it based on the broader customers he's spoken to. So I'd say from the customers we're speaking to, typically most organisations are very much in that manual state. They are very much not only needing to have a team of people that's actually consolidating that data, but they're also needing to request that data from people in the broader business as well. So it's not just having a team of 2, 3, 4 people that are actually pulling and consolidating that data. They're needing to reach out to other departments, to the finance teams, to procurement teams, to actually get that data and actually put it in. So there are actually a number of different manual conversations. And this is why the kind of automation piece that I mentioned is so key and so important to really reduce that burden that sometimes that it seemed to be to actually consolidate that data. There are some organisations that we've worked with who are starting to or have got things like the ISO 14064, and again, that is something that you can go after even with the manual methodologies that you've got. But it all comes to that governance piece. And why I kept talking around governance is making sure that you've got that auditability and that understanding. That is the key part for any implementation that you've got. Andrew, I don't know if you want to add to that from any of the people you've been speaking to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of the above, absolutely completely agree and align with everything you said there, Paul. I think for me, the conversation's changed. If we had this conversation 2 years ago, it would have been, how do we help our customers better report around scope 1, 2, and then more recently, sort of all 15 categories in scope 3. Now it's very much, how do we get that ESG data estate in place? So, customers, it's top of mind. How do we start to do that? And sometimes we lose sight of the fact that, this isn't just about CSRD. So we're not doing this just to fix CSRD. If you think about the global reporting initiatives, if you think about the carbon disclosure project, that there's just so many different acronyms and things, EU taxonomy, it goes on and on. But this goes way beyond just CSRD, and there will be more regulations without question coming down the line as we move forward. So, the conversation now, and customers recognize this, is how do we get a platform in place where we can have that single source of truth for the ESG data, where we can have those insightful outputs, where we're actually learning from that data, but how we can be agile and react to new frameworks, new regulations as they kind of come in, hit us and require us to either disclose, report, or whatever. So it's a very different conversation today, hopefully echoed in everything we've said around sort of this very data-led approach to I guess, cracking what is a challenge for a lot of companies.
Absolutely. So thank you very much. And so I think probably just closing there to say just thank you very much for everyone that's attended today. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's a pleasure to present to you today and talk to you around our offerings and how we can help you. And would absolutely love to continue working with you if there's that opportunity. So really just thank you again for attending, and thank you, Andrew, for your support and for jumping on as well.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks all. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you.